Draft rankings. The draft rankings is back. I warned y'all at the beginning of the week that bringing this thing back after a month hiatus of just 2025 NFL draft conversation was going to look a little bit different. And by different, of course, I explained it on the Monday show. If you didn't hear it then, you'll hear it now. Mondays are going to be NFL/fantasy football focused. Wednesdays are going to be 2026 NFL draft focused. And Fridays are going to be recruiting, high school, maybe a little bit of college if I feel like talking about, college or something, the freshman in college type of situation, but mainly high school. So today, for example, we're going to be talking about official visits for Alabama, Texas, Georgia, A&M, Oregon, Penn State, a couple of mainly the players outside of the schools. Like we'll attach them to schools, talk about it from that perspective, but mostly it's going to be talking about these high school players and their outlook as they go through these official visits in their high school recruiting. So I warned y'all it's going to look different. Every show is going to be a little bit different. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, each different. I'll shut up about it and I'll get into the show. But I just wanted to, again, reiterate it, I should say, because I know that it's out of the ordinary. It's out of the general flow of what you expect in the draft ranking show. But just know we're hitting all bases. We're not just talking about NFL. We're not just talking about fantasy. We're not talking about college. We're not just talking about we're talking about all of it. All of it. You come here, one-stop shop, all things football, every level, from the class of 2016 that are in the pros to the class of 2030 that are freshmen in high school right now. We'll talk about all of it if they're good enough to talk about on the show. All right, Texas, Georgia, A&M, Bama, Penn State, Oregon, Auburn, South Carolina's even got a prospect coming in. All right, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, set the timer. Let's ride. First and foremost, let's start out with, I think probably the biggest weekend this year, this month goes to Alabama. Alabama's got a big weekend of visitors coming in. Derek Cooper, running back from Madonna down in Hollywood, Florida. He's the number one all-purpose back in America, 6'1", 200 pounds. It's a guy that's visited a couple of schools over the course of the last couple of weeks. He'll be at Alabama this weekend. He was at Miami last week. Of course, Madonna is from down there in the Miami area. He'll be at Georgia next weekend. He's visited Texas. He's visited Florida State and Penn State. A lot of schools obviously open for Derek Cooper, the running back from Southern Florida. He's the number 12th ranked player in America right now. When you just watch this kid, he's a big runner. Big runner. A couple of other running backs we'll talk about. Of course, KJ Edwards, a running back from Carthage, Texas. Those are mainly the big two this weekend that are taking visits that are notable at the running back position. If you go to Rivals right now, that's where I'll talk about these rankings from. If you look at the rankings, it's all-purpose back and it's running back. And all-purpose back, of course, is more of a guy that can, a 3-down back versus a 2-down back. But when you look at the all-purpose side of things, that's where Cooper is ranked at number 1 overall. KJ Edwards as well. When you look at the all-purpose back selection, he is ranked number 2 at the position. The other player at the running back position is Xavier Crowell, Ezavier. Crowell is the number 1 ranked running back, 5'11", 215 pounds from Jackson, Alabama. He'll be at Texas this weekend. He was at Georgia last weekend, talking to some people in the Georgia area. They were talking about how Georgia's got room to make up. They have a lot of ground to make up in the recruitment of Xavier Crowell from Jackson, Alabama, not Mississippi. And a lot of that has been, as I've done research, I work for Orange Bloods covering the Texas Longhorns on a weekly basis. And a lot of the conversation around Xavier Crowell, the running back from Jackson, Alabama, has been about Auburn and Alabama. He'll be at Auburn next week, and he'll be at Alabama in 2 weekends. And those are the 2 schools that have been kind of the circle or the focus for Xavier Crowell. I have him future casted to the Alabama Crimson Tide as the mainstay there. South Carolina's got a visitor coming in this weekend, Landon Duckworth, the quarterback. Landon Duckworth was once committed to South Carolina before decommitting over the course of the last, when was that? That was, I think that was just 2 months ago that Landon Duckworth decommitted. He's going to be, this weekend, he's going to be at South Carolina. Next weekend, he'll be at Florida State and then Ole Miss. We'll talk about that over the course of the next couple of weeks. But he decommitted from South Carolina last June. So exactly 12 months ago did Landon Duckworth. He's from Jackson, Alabama as well. He's the quarterback for Xavier Crowell. Future casting him back to South Carolina. Seems like he's leaning more and more towards that direction. They went through a full season, of course, looked great. Lenora Sellers, great quarterback right now. in the NCAA. So Landon Duckworth, he'll be at South Carolina this weekend, a place he was once committed to already. We'll see what happens if he has a commitment date scheduled and what kind of comes out of that South Carolina visit. Some players that I really like, some offensive tackles. I know this is generally more of a skill position conversation on this channel, but some 4 offensive tackles that I absolutely love. First and foremost, we'll start with Emmanuel Ihenacho. Emmanuel Ihenacho, to me, is the best offensive tackle in the class. My rankings right now, I got the number one player from Georgetown Prep in North Bethesda, Maryland. Comped him to Michael Orr. Now, this guy is massive, 6'7", 6'8", 340 pounds. I saw him last year at the Rivals 5-star camp. This guy is a monster. Like the insane length. His athleticism is it's kind of nuts at 6'7", 340 pounds. Ihenacho is so much bigger than the rest of the world at his age, and just kind of playing against the competition he's playing against with, which up there in the DMV, Georgetown Prep, like that's a great area of football. It's just not these little teeny tiny football players that you're thinking of like low level divisions in high school football. Big players. So Emmanuel Ihenacho is actually going to be at Auburn this weekend. Not the favorite to land Emmanuel Ihenacho, who's currently ranked as the number 4 prospect in America. He's favored right now to Oregon and Maryland. I think Penn State's a sleeper in that conversation. I've future casted him to Oregon. That's where I think he lands up. Jackson Cantwell, the number 1 tackle in America, according to Rivals, committed to Miami a couple of weeks ago. Ohio State missed out. They've been pursuing Felix Ojo predominantly. Emmanuel Ihenacho has been predominantly in Oregon, Penn State, and Maryland focal point here. So Emmanuel Ihenacho will be at Auburn this weekend. I don't know if I really believe into too much that's going to really matter, but we'll see what happens. Auburn does have a couple of bucks. Felix Ojo, tackle 3. He'll be at Michigan this weekend. He's also got a lot of conversation with Ohio State and Texas. That's what a lot of people believe it comes down to for him. Felix Ojo is from Mansfield, Texas. Also in Texas, John Turntine from Fort Worth, North Crowley. He will be at Texas A&M this weekend with Zayden Krempin, another offensive tackle from Prosper, Texas, a guy that is looked at as a multi-positional guy at the next level, 6'7", 275 pounds is Zayden Krempin. John Turntine, 6'3", 6'4", 275 pounds as well. He was at Stanford last weekend. He'll be at Michigan next weekend, or Michigan or Tennessee. I can't remember which one. He took one of them out. I think it might be Tennessee. And then he'll be at Texas the following weekend. Texas is the lean for Turntine and Krempin at this time. But A&M does believe that they can make up some of the ground on the offensive line position. The last player I'll talk about here is tight end. Tight end Caden Prothro, a tight end number 2 in America behind the great Mark Bowman. Mark Bowman committed to USC this last week. Bowman, if you haven't watched Mark Bowman, you need to go watch Mark Bowman from Modern Day out there in California. He committed to USC. He's an absolute stud. The dollar amount being conversed with Mark Bowman right now is wild. This kid's a stud. This kid, if you watch it, it's not hyperbole to say he looks like Brock Bowers there. This kid looks like Brock Bowers. Mark Bowman, Bowman. The number 2 tight end in America right now is Caden Prothro, Prothro. Caden Prothro from Bowden, Georgia, 6'6", 207 pounds. He will be at Alabama this weekend. The lean there for Prothro is Georgia. That's where I've forecasted Prothro to go. The conversation was mostly around both Bowman and Prothro to end up at the University of Georgia. Georgia does have a tight end commitment already from the number 5 tight end in America, Lincoln Keys. He's from Saline, Michigan. Other guys in the top 5, Kendra Harrison's committed to Oregon. He's from North Carolina. And then Max Sutter from Dunlap, Illinois is the number 4 tight end in America. So Caden Prothro visiting Alabama this weekend. And then going into next weekend, he will be taking an Auburn visit in the middle of the week, and then he'll be at Florida on the weekend, and then to Texas the following week. He was already at Georgia last week and did not commit. We'll see what happens with Caden Prothro. Tons of visitors across all positions. We talked mainly about the skill offensive line guys. Some other notables, though, Texas has the number 2 athlete in America right now, offensive line and defensive lineman Lamar Brown will be in this weekend. Dre Quinn, the number 13 edge rusher, will be in Georgia this weekend. Chase Calicut from Houston, Texas, is a safety, a big safety. will be at Georgia this weekend. And then Richard Wesley, if you guys saw this on Twitter the other week, Richard Wesley, the defensive end from California, committed to Oregon, jumped in the pool, committed to Oregon, decommitted this last week. 3 weeks of being committed, jumping in the pool with Dan Lanning, decommits. He's the number one defensive end in America, back to Oregon this weekend before taking a visit to Texas over the course of the next couple of weeks. This is just an intro of recruiting conversations. If you're interested, if you care, we'll be talking about it over the course of the next couple of weeks. Big official visits. A weird time to start talking about recruiting because it's literally just official visit time. So it's hard to really sit down and talk about a prospective prospect or break down a player because, again, it's mostly just official visits right now. So I want to cover that from this perspective. I don't know if any of these big names are going to commit this weekend. I don't believe they will. I think it'll be more of an overtime thing. July 4th is a big marker for a lot of prospects. So keep tapped into the show. Click that like button. Click subscribe. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. The draft rankings recruiting edition. We'll be back next Monday with some more fantasy football and NFL stuff. Cody Carpentier, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. See ya.